There's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP. Hey, Gumpers.
Hola, bon dia. Munson here from expatsportugal.com with the Good Morning Portugal live stream show and podcast. Tudo bem, meus amigos? How are you this morning? Lovely to see Lee, Stephen, Sarah, Catherine, Cindy, the slug, the banana slug, Alejma de banana in Portuguese, Deagle, and Ian here. T-Duck not feeling 100% this morning, so lots of love to you. And Mrs. Duck this morning. I doubt we're going to see you at the meetup, which is a big shame because we look forward to top producer T-Duck producing the live stream that comes from the wonderful meetup on the Silver Coast, one of two meetups that we've created for you. One in Portimao, that's the second Thursday, if I remember rightly, in Portimao of the month. So yes, coming up next week. Every week in San Martino de Porto here on Portugal's wonderful Silver Coast between 1 and 3. See you there. I believe quite a few people are showing up and might be a bit of pre-birthday celebration today. Ooh, what could possibly go wrong? But no boozing till tomorrow. Tomorrow is the big morning when I return to the beer after a year. And I shall do so. I'm pretty certain I'm going to do so on the show tomorrow morning. And I know Lee is up for that at least. And somebody else said they would, put me down for some of that morning boozing. I think somebody said yesterday. So there's a few of us. And some just tuning in to see the everything unfold in front of their eyes. Could be worse. Could be Boris Johnson this morning. Maybe he's having a cheeky Sagres mini this morning before Prime Minister's questions. Was it PMQs in the British Parliament? Disgraceful. There's a nation all over the world. People are struggling, cost of living crisis, etc., and uncertainty for their futures, whilst the politicians are just going through this ridiculous pantomime situation and turn their back on the people while they try and sort themselves out. It's a broken system. Anyway, what am I doing going into all that political stuff first thing in the morning? But it's hard not to at the moment. It really is. So forgive me. Monday nights for that from 10 o'clock. God Squad tip of the day. Do you know what? We're going to do that right now. And then we'll come back and say hello to everyone, see how they're doing. What have you got for us today? I hear you ask. If you weren't asking that, it's the voices in my head. Ask anything about Portugal Wednesday. Summer and tourism special with Heronius Maximus, who will be here at 9 o'clock this morning. Plus, a Portugal news review. I hope we will get round to that, looking at a few Portuguese news items, articles, stories, call them what you will. Have you got a favourite that you've seen? Maybe the GNR road safety or cash generation scheme, as some cynics are calling it. All those fines and radars in place around the country to help people drive more safely. And put quite a lot of money in the coffers, it would appear. Quite a few fines have been issued in June, and quite a lot of income has come in. And hopefully that has made a bit of an impact on road safety as well. What else have you seen? Have you been seeing stories about the increasing numbers of our American friends coming to Portugal as well? So it's an interesting one in the press yesterday. It turns out it was an advertorial. But anyway, some interesting stuff in there in the Portugal news. So you might like to have a look at the Portugal news or the Portugal Resident while you're tuned in this morning. And if there's anything you want to talk about from the Portugal newspapers, even a Portuguese in the Portuguese, if you're reading Portuguese language newspapers, you get priority. If something has come to my attention in Público or similar, what Noticias de Dia, I can't remember what the Portuguese titles are called. Actually, we should do something about that and go into an analysis of the papers and whether they are red tops, broadsheets, tabloids, whatever they are, and how they reflect Portuguese culture. That'd be a really good thing to do with somebody. But yeah, if there's anything that's grabbed your attention from the Portuguese news, and we'll focus this morning mainly on the Portugal Resident and the Portugal news, the English speaking or English written web news services. If there's anything that's caught your eye, let me know, and Michael and I will talk about it. You can even, if you're really serious about it, you can join us on screen as well. So, plus Portugal news review then, and your comments and questions in the chat right here, as I see people are already doing, and your pictures and messages via WhatsApp 351 913 590303. Fantastic. Yes, God Squad tip of the day. What a wonderful gentleman you are, Coach Ian Turner. You're on holiday, having a great time in France and in Italy, and still taking the time out to share with us a God Squad tip of the day: growing old disgracefully. So let me set that up appropriately. God's Squad tip of the day. It may be obvious to say, but in hot weather, try to exercise early in the morning or later in the evening. I think in one sense it's obvious, Coach Turner, but of course we don't often do the obvious, do we? Common sense ain't very common, let's face it. So we take that as an excellent tip this morning, perhaps even walking to the bar restaurant. We are bon viveurs after all. So how about that? A nice little bit of balance, the good life, and taking care of yourself. You may be thinking of driving to the bar. Why not have a little toddle into town as a little bit of exercise? But after the sun is a little lower in the sky. Excellent tip this morning. Thank you very much for that, Coach Turner. People very quiet about their growing old disgracefully behavior and routines. If you've installed something as a result of Coach Turner's excellent advice and serving suggestions for a healthy life as a bon viveur, and with his gentle fitness approach, do let us know. What are you doing? I know a few of you are. I mean, Deagle, for example, who's here as well. Bon dia, Carl and Gumpers. Grey morning in Belfast. Still no sunshine, but getting warmer. 18 degrees yesterday, light rain. Deagle swims 27 miles a day or something like that. And what a shambles. The politicians are ruling in UK. No other country could these people stay in power. They are shameless. Not one will take a red face with embarrassment. Well, you might be right there, but I suspect there's quite a lot of other people, politicians around the world. When politics has become a career, I suppose, you're going to get this, aren't you, where people have done nothing else but be professional politicians, career politicians. And I mean, that's not to say that there are some amazing people in politics. There really are, who go into it for genuine reasons. But it's a system that can change people, right? And I think that system attracts certain types of individuals, narcissists and psychopaths and that sort of thing. Now more positive thinking. Okay, yes, change the subject, Carl. Only 100 days. Thank you, Deagle. 100 days, 99 sleeps till my third trip to Portugal in 2022. Fantastic. Looking forward to being back already and putting all of that nonsense and malarkey behind you, at least for a few days, eh? And the Lejma, the banana slug, James is here, who had a fantastic day, I think, with the Stalikas yesterday in João F. Bom dia, Gampers. Feliz carta a todos. Como vai tudo? Had a spectacular day reuniting with dear friends Connie, Hank, and João yesterday. Superb. Spent the day in Lisboa, which included a visit to, followed by lunch at the Museu de Farmacia. Both are incredible, and the company unbeatable. Well, yes, don't beat your company. They won't go out with you again, unless they like that sort of thing. And who doesn't know? To think I have made these great friends and others solely because of finding and participating with this amazing riot of Gumpers. My life is so blessed. Well, bless you for saying so. Thank you very much. Banana Slug, really appreciate that. Oh, and look, it continues. Thank you, Carl, for choosing to create this miracle. I am so grateful to you and to everyone here. Look at you, proper loved up this morning. Oh, that's lovely to hear. Thank you so much. And right back at you. It's a co-creation, miracle co-creation here. Thanks to everybody who's a part of it. Whether you're effusive and obvious in the way that James is here, or you're a quieter member of this community, everyone important, everyone playing their part. And we have co-created something pretty remarkable. And yeah, more evidence of that in person later on today at the meetup, starting at 1 o'clock. We will be at Palmera. It's sunny today, but it's kind of a white, it's not a blue sky, it's a white sky. And it's been the most eerie weather conditions. I've not lived on the Silver Coast for a whole year, so I don't really know, observing how it works here. But it's been like a winter's evening. When it snows, it goes really quiet and somewhat eerie. on a winter's evening, when the snow has fallen. If you're lucky enough to have grown in a place where snow falls, which isn't really the UK, but at times I've experienced the snowfall in the UK. And when it's deep and crisp and even, as it were, there's this incredible quality, isn't there, of stillness, where the virgin snow is untrod, if that's such a turn of phrase, and the air is quiet. The atmosphere is quiet. The creatures are not making any noise. The crickets obviously are cricketing in the in the cold weather. The birds have stopped singing for a moment, and I've had 2 nights of that. When I've taken the dogs out late in the evening, it's been eerily quiet, beautifully peaceful, but eerily quiet. And during the day, not blue sky, but white sky. What's that about? Careful, you conspiracy theorists, but yes, white sky, as though it's a snowy sky. But clearly, as I look out of my window this morning, beautiful, bright day. I can't say it's a sunny day because I know the sun's there lighting it up behind the white, but it's the most extraordinary phenomenon. Perhaps it's why it's called the Silver Coast, and this lovely mist that we have that has been enveloping us for the last few days. How is your summer? It is bizarre. We will talk about this with Heronius Maximus when he arrives at 9, because we are talking about tourism and how not to let tourism spoil your holiday. See what I did there? And how about this? I reckon I knows what I knows. Is that good, Mark Twain, do you think? I reckon I knows what I knows. Could I get some voiceover work doing American accents? Probably not. Oh, yep. I reckon it's so. Are we continuing there? Anyway, I reckon I know what I knows from Mark Twain. Quote of the day there. We're all like that, aren't we? We know what we know, and it's probably best to stick to that. Cindy B is here with the Bon Dia Alegria Gumpers and Bon Dia Carl y amigos. Sarah's here. Hey, Kate. Yeah, looking forward to seeing you soon and having a bit of fun at the weekend. Cindy B as well. Stephen Wells is here too. Stephen Wells as well. Bon Dia to you. Good morning, people. Hey up, Lee. How you doing, mate? See you in the morning. And Barry, see you at lunchtime, Barry. Probably, I hope. Yes, I think you're hot-footing it to IKEA. When you see the meatballs on the plate on somebody's Facebook profile, you know exactly where they're having lunch or dinner, don't you? Bon dia alegria from Baddy, and a bon dia alegria from a partly cloudy, partly sunny Stockholm. Thank you for the pictures, which we should show now. I think, Anna, I'm not. Oh, sorry about this. Bear with as I load these onto the picture deck this morning. There's always something I have forgotten when it comes to loading things up, and it was Anna's beautiful pictures this morning back in Stockholm. Then, I believe, and look at these delightful pictures here. Talk about stillness and serenity. Swedish lake pictures here. And she had something very interesting that she said to go with them. I think is that 1 a.m, did you say there, Anna? That's quite extraordinary, isn't it? Beautiful, beautiful colors. One of our top photographers in residence here on Good Morning Portugal. And yeah, I'll come back to your comment because, oh no, it's all loading up now. Organizing messages, end-to-end encrypted. Yeah, WhatsApp, it's all end-to-end encrypted, but that doesn't mean that WhatsApp and Meta are studying at a granular level all your information, you rascals. What's this? Michael Heron, is he okay? Oh, I see. Okay. All right, brilliant. Yes, Michael's going to be with us at 9. And the doc, nice message from the doc. Thank you, Doc. And Suze, if you were wondering what's happened with Suze, some lovely pictures. Oh, bagels. Anyone like bagels? I've got to download these for you while you enjoy the shot of Stockholm that's on the screen there. Thank you, Suze, for your... What's this? The Saint Viateur Bagel Shop, legendary bagel shop in Canada. But this, to go with this picture then, from Anna this morning, she says, bon dia, what a night view from the bridge where I live. It never really gets dark in Stockholm. This is at 1 a.m. Look at that. Fantastic. So thank you so much for your pictures, Anna. Anyone else who wants to send pictures in, do so via the number that you can see on your screen in just a moment, which will be 00351 if you're outside of the country. That's the Portugal country code, which you'll have to get used to saying if you're going to be making your home here in Portugal. You too will be saying 00351, the country code. And then you'll probably have a number that begins with 9 if you have a cell phone here. 913-590-303 is my number. And let's go back to Canada then with Suze to Saint Viateur. And the Saint Viateur bagel shop there looks fairly unassuming, just straightforward bakery. with some aluminium windows and doors there. A boulangerie. This isn't it nice to be able to say a boulangerie? I didn't realize that boulangerie has lingerie in it, doesn't it? And you don't want to get those mixed up. What could possibly? Yes, the mind boggles, doesn't it? The mind boggles with mixing up boulangerie and lingerie. And there are some bagels. Look, they do look very good, I have to say. Suze and Taxi enjoying bagels in Canada. There, they look fantastic. They really do. That gentleman there. Baking bagels for an adoring public, I suspect. Ooh, what do you have on yours? I've got some cream cheese in the fridge. Cream cheese and smoked salmon on yours, I wonder. Okay, move on. I was quite taken by by that pile of bagels there. Who else is in this morning? Quite a few of you, I see. Turn me back for a moment, and everyone pours in. It's like the old days, Saturday cinema, Saturday picture club, isn't it? At the cinema, you're watching a movie, someone opens the fire exit, and everyone rushes in at the back. That seems to be what's happened this morning. Okay, so we've had the greeting from Anna. Thank you so much, Anna. And one from Victoria here. Hola, 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 hola. Bon dia, buenos dias. How's everyone this morning? Heading to Granada today. It's Granada. And bon dia from Toronto. So Granada in Spain. Thank you, Victoria. And Toronto in Canada as well. A happy, quiet, and unassuming Independence Day, 1st of July. Reminded by Darren about that. Suze, thank you so much for tuning in. What time is it for you? Return to the Beer, the sequel. Yes, A Year Without Beer, two movies that must be made. The Year Without Beer does sound like a bit like a Russell Crowe movie, doesn't it? Hola, bon dia. Hope you all have a super day, says Andy. Off for a walk around the beautiful Bairrada countryside before it gets too hot. And Andy was a bit of a punk rocker in his time, and I'm going to be playing some of his music. He was in a band called the Parasites. Of course he was, because that's the sort of name you had. What was your moniker as lead singer? Bogey Bill or something like that? Tell us what your name was, Andy, in the band, the Parasites. You were the front man, of course. Of course you were the front man. And we're going to play some of your punk rock. Anyone else got a nice secret like that from the past? If you've got an old music tape, which Andy has, share it, and he shared his skills. It's very, very good. We will play them. We'll probably play out with them at the end of the show. Have you got something from back in the day, old pictures, old music, your old creativity? Don't let it just gather dust. Share it with us and this community here on Good Morning Portugal. It's nice to know a bit more about people, and you will learn a lot more about Andy when I play his punk rock tune, which might be on Feel Good Friday. You could do that on Friday, couldn't we? Along with a few of the events that Andy very kindly contributes to the Expats Portugal website. Actually, while we're talking about that, let me put the link for the events coming up in the events, and you'll get the best experience of that, won't you, Andy, if you're logged in. And really, anyone who's watching this, I will be inspecting your papers. Not really. I'm not that sort of person, but I am not yet anyway. Anyone who is watching this show should really, at the very least, be a community member at expatsportugal.com. And you can do that absolutely free of charge and get a lot of benefit, including looking at these events that Andy very carefully curates, collects, and publishes for us over there. So that's in the comments now, in the chat. That's where you need to go to the What's On. You'll find out there about our meetups. You'll find out there about our weekly webinars. And please post if it's something you've seen. And I saw the Sardinia's Festival of Salida de Porto. I must put that up in there. Saw that while I was out and about yesterday, dropping my car off for its the equivalent of its MOT, the IMT, here in Portugal. And had a lovely road trip, literally a road trip, walking along the road in the blistering heat, checking out a few cafes, and found myself in the most beautiful cafe yesterday. I'll share that photograph with you. It's quite moving for me, and it turns out it's quite moving for other people on Facebook as well. So I will share that picture probably after Michael has joined us here on the Good Morning Portugal show from expatsportugal.com. Bon dia from Pamela Smith as well. How you doing, Pam? Hope you're feeling 100% now. Antonio F is here with a bon dia todos. And Pete is in as well. Bon dia alegria. So glad to be in beautiful sunny Portugal this morning. What a horrid society I left for good over a year ago, and what a fabulous one I am part of now. Done and dusted by the sound of it there, Pete. I hope you're feeling better too. Bon dia alegria. Quite a few people with bugs and lurgies at the moment, aren't there, in our community? So lots of love to you all. Mark, Bon di Alegria, great to see your recent good news and lovely to have you here this morning. And Kanan Siva is here. How much is the minimum business investment required if we wish to do business from Portugal? It's a bit of a how long is a piece of string? Do you know what? I think that's a good question that Michael will address. Stick around, Kanan, and if I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, and Michael Heron, Heronius Maximus, our buddy, will be able to give a view on that. Pete says he's off to give his amazing carpenter. We've only just begun. A flower, old flowers for his poor wife who had a stroke on Sunday. Oh no! So nice to be with people that genuinely care and look after each other. Absolutely. Absolutely part of life here, isn't it, in the communities of Portugal? And that sounds, I don't know if it'll mean anything, Pete, but if you say lots of love from the whole Good Morning and Expats Portugal community to that lady who had the stroke on Sunday and their family, if it helps, please pass on our best. And so sorry to hear of that, because an amazing gentleman. I've seen some of the incredible work that your carpenter does, and what a sad blow for their family there. Bon dia from Connie as well, with a couple of cherries. I think that's a couple of cherries. Bon dia from Connie. Is that because you're enjoying the Fundao cherries? I don't know if you saw my post on Facebook recently, and it's lovely how people all around Portugal celebrate the Fundao cherries with their own little drawings of cherries. Two great big cherries and a stalk in Caldas the other day. I was moved to take a photograph of it, celebrating local produce, national produce all over the country. Seems to be a lot of teenagers who seem to do these cherry pictures in playgrounds and on pavements and lavatory walls and that sort of thing. Michelle, good morning to you. I have passed on your message to Prof. Eusebio. Do we need a petition to get him back to do? Has anybody been missing this? Because I haven't heard from Prof. Eusebio for a while, Michelle, but I did pass on the message that you sent to me to him. It's been so long that the Today in Portuguese History Vingle is gathering. I can't. It's been so long since we've used it. I can't actually find it. I'm sure I didn't delete it. Where is? I actually can't see it anymore. Oh dear. Oh, or did we just have the music? That's bizarre. I can't see that anywhere. So let's anyone who knows the prof, say, Prof, where you been? What's going on here? Can we please have a little bit more Portuguese history? Yeah, I can't see that. I can't see that at the moment. And Michelle, Guru Slug, so happy for your lovely day in Lisboa yesterday. Superb. And Pam, quite often, she says, we leave a sunny Alcobaça to go to the beach, only to find it misty and cooler when we get there. Yeah, that's a bit of a blow, isn't it? Only 15 kilometers, but you see it hovering over the coast as you arrive. Very much the case in Nazaré, I believe. First time I went to Nazaré, I had the same thing. I was expecting to see big waves, massive waves, and a clear sky, blue sky, and a moody Atlantic. Couldn't see anything first time we went there in the camper van. Descended into Nazaré into complete fog. And actually, that was Guido. When Guido was here last week at the meetup, he stayed in Foz before he came onto the meetup with us. I said, Foz is beautiful, isn't it? He said, well, I think so. Couldn't really see it. So he could have been anywhere. Be careful. Don't, expectation management is the order of the day. Okay, when it comes to coming to the Silver Coast, chances are it will clear up by the afternoon, but you might not get the lovely clear blue sky and a dramatic Atlantic first thing in the morning. What a wonderful Wednesday! Unless your name is Boris. In his mind, I think Boris still thinks it's a wonderful Wednesday. In his mind, he's got probably some sort of Churchillian reaction that he's going to deliver a speech to the Parliament and be lauded and championed. A lot of people still support him, doing his best. That's what people think. It's quite extraordinary. Morning from Let's Gaslight the Nation, that is the UK. I'm here installing my sculpture into Wells Cathedral. Well, good for you. Can we have a picture, please? Sounds amazing, Deborah. So I'm glad you're distracted on artistic matters and not having to subject yourself to the nonsense that's going on. The system's broken, folks, isn't it? Let's face it. These systems that were part and parcel of the Industrial Revolution. I don't know if you've noticed, but the Industrial Revolution seems to be transforming into something else now. There have been other revolutions. There's been a technological revolution since, but politics hasn't really kept up with that, has it? Let's face it, except for all the technological ways you can moan about it. And now, so that's the benefit of the technological revolution when it comes to politics, is all the ways you can moan about it, just like this. Let's gaslight the nation. We need that technology to go to the heart of politics and give us a system that it befits the grandeur and glory of humanity, which I don't think we have at the moment. But anyway, dangerous ground, Monday nights, please, 10 o'clock. Oi, to you as well, Peter Chesley. Nice little emoji there. A traditional British bowler moving to the Azores on Friday. Well, congratulations to you. Do you have to declare income from work when you do the work, or when you receive the money, which could be a few weeks, months later? Well, you have to declare it in your tax return. And yeah, you declare it annually, really, Peter. But that's another one for Heronius Maximus, because I'm going to just palm that off onto him. You didn't hear me say that, and don't mention that to Michael. Bon dia, all you lovely gumpers. Peter, we'll come back to you on that, don't worry. Carl, you didn't show Cindy's piglets yesterday, did you? Oh, yes, I did. But in case you missed them, here they are, these little piggies. Yes, showed it at the end of the show, Pete. And there they are, Cindy's piglets, 10 of them in various colors. And it looks like those would be a stunning color schemes, choices, swatch for a onesie of your own. And you could line a pile of people, family and friends dressed in a piglet onesie like that, in a nice, warm, steaming pile of piglet. I imagine that's pretty whiffy by now, that steaming pile of piglets, but very cute nonetheless. So yes, Pete, there you go. Double yesterday and today for your visual pleasure there, and lots of love to Cindy when you see her from us and our community. Bon dia gumpers from Brian as well. Morning, Brian. How are you? Mr. Vertical Rotisserie in 2022. And here to accept his award for most innovative use of a vertical rotisserie, it's Brian Taylor. No, not that one. Yes, that's the one. I've missed you all, says the OLP. Yes, we've missed you too. What's going on with you, OLP? I saw your comment on another YouTube channel, loved your input. Ooh, what's Antonio F been up to on other YouTube channels? Oi, guppers, says the doc. Bon dia alegria, a todos de la ria, torn between you and political soap on Sky News. Yes, where's the soap? On Sky News, at least the political soap is. Yeah, I mean, you know what's going to happen, Doc, don't you? He's done. He's finished. It's just a matter of time. I had and Michael just joined me in the green room, as I've said. He's finished. He's done. Not you, Michael. Don't worry. You've only just started here, mate. I had a bimbo bagel for lunch yesterday. Ooh. Now, I think given the choice, no disrespect to you, Pamela, but given the choice of a bimbo bagel or one of those from Canada, one of these, I think I'm going to go for the Canadian bagel. And do you mean bimby or bimbo? That's the cooking system, isn't it? The famous cooking system that once took over almost in one of our entire webinars. The people talking about the bimbo bimby system for cooking here in Portugal. So we should do a special on that. How was it? I guess is my question to you. Better than nothing, better than no bagel, or is that faint praise? How was it, Pamela? And we have more from Pete to the Slug. Lol, will teach us for not staying right to the end. Yes, absolutely. Be careful with that. It can come as a surprise, what I show at the end, as it were. Hi, Antonio. Spain is always a beautiful experience. Yes, Portugal, the husband. Spain, the lover. As Victoria said, trying to get there soon. Come on, OLP. What can we do to help you? We've been gone for 2 months remodeling a home in Montana. Oh, okay. How's that gone? Do let us know. And I have missed everyone, you say. Fantastic. Is there not an omnibus edition on Sunday of Sky Political Soap? I bet there is. And it's pundits. Because that's what happens in a situation like this. There's not a lot of real information, is there? There's just loads of people. And actually, I find it quite... I've used the analogy of dogging. It's like, politics in the UK is people watching other people doing things that they shouldn't be doing. And it's completely turning their back on the real issues that politics is supposed to be serving. It's self-serving. It's self-indulgent. It's awful. And then, so you have people speculating for hours on end. And then they'll speculate on the roundup of the speculation that they then rebroadcast on a Sunday. And I know it's very engaging. It really is. I mean, I fall for it myself. I'm listening to UK radio to find out what's going on with the political panto. But it's awful. It's just more evidence of a system that doesn't work. Anyway, sorry. I'm so sorry this morning. I've been far too political. Prof Eusebio will wish he's here. So you're back on the beer and already mixing up laundry and lingerie. I haven't even started drinking yet, and I'm mixing up boulangerie and lingerie this morning. Doesn't take much, does it, really? With the way my mind works. Take a jump to Spain next month, or you might do, says Antonio F. Too bad it is to the north from you and just for a few hours. Okay, just popping in and out of the neighbours there. Doc Thompson says, from Pete to the Doc, it's great to be in Portugal, but you can't help but feel sorry for people in the UK. We will now see what a flailing greased pig is capable of. Well, don't hold back there, Peter. And also, the thing is, the people of the UK are a magnificent bunch of people, as people are all over the world. And it is perhaps time for them to organize themselves differently. And for us not to see them as poor victims, but let's see them rise up like people all over the world who deserve better systems than they currently have and a better deal. Okay, seriously, you've got me started on the politics. I'm so glad Michael is here. He hasn't got his own theme tune yet. We need to talk about that as soon as he arrives on the screen, which is just about now. Michael, good morning to you.
Good morning. Bon dia alegría. How's it going?
It's very good, mate. What sort of walk-on music would you like, do you think, if you had your own jingle? I need to organise that for you.
It's a good question.
Yes.
I mean, you know that I love Curtis Mayfield, right? And "Move On Up" is one of my favourite songs of all time.
Yes.
And at the Arsenal many years ago, they used to play it when the players came out on the pitch, and I thought that was a lovely jingle. So yeah, that would probably be mine. But I think you get charged a lot of money by.
It would be a really good way of getting us unlisted, basically, from YouTube.
It would be. But I was just tuning in earlier, and I saw you were already getting a bit political, which is good to see. Good to see you staying. Good to see you staying true to your roots, mate.
It's not.
A lot has happened. A lot has happened. Yeah. So we'll maybe park that to one side for now.
Well, there's going to be inevitable references this morning. And there's a lot going on. When we were chatting yesterday in our production meeting, which is a flurry of WhatsApp messages, isn't it? Throughout the day, and suggestions as to what the cover art might look like. I do like your idea to put us in summer hats and do the summer tourism special. Actually, before we go there, I need to find out. It's been a month since I've seen you. How have you been in that month? And then we'll go on to the summer and tourism special.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been good. Very busy, a lot of work, which has been great.
Yeah.
Doing a lot of traveling again, which has been fantastic. And we'll talk a little bit about that later because, as I'm sure most of you will know, as of yesterday, all restrictions have been lifted in Portugal. So you no longer need to present a vaccine certificate or a negative PCR test to be able to fly into Portugal. So that was officially announced yesterday.
Yeah.
So that's very exciting. So yeah, it's just been good, mate. It's just been good to travel. I've got an event later this evening, so it's just been really nice. It's been really nice, and we're finally getting the wonderful Portuguese summer weather, which took a little bit longer than expected.
Yes. It did, didn't it? It's taken some coaxing out of the wherever it comes from, the weather box of creation. What's happened there? I mean, have you got the same thing as me? You know, it's like it's not really summer. All the flurry of spring-like activity that you speak of is there.
It's gonna be really hot in like the Lisbon and Cascais area this week. But it's weird because it's taking every morning it's cloudy and then the sun comes out at midday. So my kids have been going to the beach this week with their school and nurseries. They've been taking them, which is a lovely touch, and it's also something to remember if you're a parent and you relocate to Portugal. If you send your children to a school close to the beach, the likelihood is in the summer they will have activities where they will take them to the beach, which is fantastic.
Isn't it great?
It's amazing. But it's weird because it's still cloudy now, but in about an hour it'll get really sunny and then it'll get really hot. So it's just been one of those weird weeks. Like you said, it's been resisting. The Portuguese summer has been resisting up until now. I think it's been waiting for the travel restrictions to be lifted, and then it will come out in its full glory this week.
Yes, and then of course, so that people know exactly what they're dealing with the Portuguese culture. A lot of Portuguese people will be going on holiday soon, won't they? So, which is going to slow things up. I had been trying to get in touch with somebody over these last few weeks. Sent them a third WhatsApp message. and I was being all kind of British about it, you know, repressed rage and passive aggression. If they don't respond to this third WhatsApp message, that's it for them. They're finished. I got a really cheerful message from them yesterday. Oh, sorry, I've been on holiday. Can I speak? And I'm still on holiday. Can we speak on the 18th when I get back? Just like that. It took the wind right out of my sails. You've got to be aware of that, haven't you? It's a cultural difference.
Yeah, especially in August, right? I mean, I'm taking 3 weeks off in August, which is the first time in about 6 years I'm taking that much holiday. But I've just realised over the years, all my clients, all my business contacts take August off pretty much, or they go off for most of August, and it starts in July as well. I mean, I noticed the traffic this morning. Since the beginning of July, there's just people have gone off. So got a shout out to a really good new friend of mine in the Netherlands who suggested that we talk about holidays and summer and tourism and how to avoid the typical tourist traps in Portugal. So I thought it'd be interesting that at some point we could talk about that, share our experiences, ask people to share their experiences as well.
It's a great idea.
We've got some cracking ideas for people if they're already in that phase now where they're thinking about their summer holidays. And I think this will be relevant for not just for expats or people considering moving to Portugal, but people already here who may be thinking about their summer holiday, maybe thinking, do I really want to go to the Algarve with everybody else in August? Where else can I go? Well, this is the perfect show for you if you're still thinking about where you want to go on your summer holidays. We're going to sort you out.
Nicely set up. Okay, we have got an important message that's just come in, which might stand us in good stead for what? Making a few bob here, as we say in Britain. So I can't really translate this at great speed, but thank you, Sandra Gomes, for your very kind offer that might involve us transferring all our wealth into her bank account by the look of it. I'm not sure there. But thank you very much for that offer, Sandra. Any other offers, send them in. 00351 913 590 greetings from Michelle. Let's say hello to everyone before we really get into that, because I've definitely got some things to contribute to this.
I'm sure you have, mate. I'm sure you have, absolutely.
Well, you know, here I am living in a tourist area, and we went out for dinner the other night, and I got the full end of the tourism stick, as it were, and I was quite taken by surprise. I understand why it happens, but I was a little bit shocked, and I want to share that with people as well about how to dining out as part of this tourist trap thing. And it really was a trap. I was a bit aggrieved by it, but it was quite an interesting learning experience as well. Kawaii Pandas is in. Good morning to you, Kawaii Pandas. I think there's a few more new names that you might not be familiar with since your last visit, Michael.
No, I remember that name from last time. We had a lovely interaction. Yeah.
Excellent. Question: what is the cost for health insurance? Okay, I'll just save a few of these and we'll come back to them. If the Prof will give us more Portuguese history, we'll all hum the national anthem. Well, that'll be fun. So yes, Prof, if someone could get that message to Prof, that might have him never coming back though, of course, as well. He's heard some of us sing while we're with Philomena, who's here on Friday. So Philomena Friday, this coming Friday. And Wiley will be checking in. She's in Sweden at the moment, but she'll be checking in tomorrow. Oh, tomorrow, Michael. We'll be having my first beer for a year live on the show.
Well, mate, I was literally about to ask you this as well. This is fantastic. So is that an 8:30 in the morning job? Have you decided what you're going to have yet?
I think it might be 9 o'clock. Sagres Mini. I mean, anything bigger than that could be disastrous. Let's face it.
Mate, you'll keel over for sure. You'll keel over.
You think even with a Sagres Mini?
No, you won't.
Okay.
Well, remember what happened last time? Remember what happened last year when I was in Madeira and we had a beer together on the podcast. Do you remember?
No, yeah. Remember that. What we do?
Your eyes went really small.
Was it in the morning?
It was in the morning.
What are we like?
I made you down it. I made you down it. Yeah.
Oh, it must have been my birthday then. Okay.
It was your birthday. That's right. It was your birthday.
And that experience put me off for a whole year, which is over. Come tomorrow. That's amazing. The doc says he was at Wells School. Deborah, we'd love to see a picture, Deborah. If you can see the number to send it to is on the screen there if you've got a moment. Oh, she's already sent the picture. That's fantastic. This is where it's going to be hung. She's not talking about Boris. She is talking about the piece of artwork.
Couldn't resist the anarchist in you.
Sorry. Only metaphorically. I do not believe in any violence towards anyone, even annoying politicians. Prison, okay, but no physical violence to anyone. That is not the way for us.
I mean, mate, now that you've sold out after 10,000 subscribers and you've got paid advertising on the pod, which is the first time, you want to be a bit more careful about what you talk about.
It's true. It's so true. Thank you for that, Michael. Thank you.
No problem. It's a good reminder.
It's very good of you. Oh, thank God you're here on this momentous morning in British politics. Reshab also, I'll show that picture in just a moment, Deborah. That's fantastic. And Doc will like that, who went to Wells School. But, Carl, there are two forms of accounting, cash on receipt or on accrual. Listen to him. It sounds like a Dickensian character, doesn't it?
Doc sounds like he knows what he's doing.
And Bimbo is a brand. Okay, yes, it's not the Bimby, it's the Bimbo. So confusing. I mean, if you go and ask for a Bimbo in the supermarket, you're going to get something for sure.
You're going to get a loaf of bread.
Yes. Okay.
Maybe not. If you ask for a Bimbo somewhere else, you might get something else.
Be careful where you ask for a Bimbo. Night or 4 in the morning from Susie, who sent in the lovely Bimbo, lovely bagels, not the Bimbo. Bimbo is a bread company. Bimby is something different. Okay, so they're not to be confused. That could really get you in some trouble if you get your Bimbo and your Bimby mixed up as well whilst you're in Marche. Thank you, Donna, and good morning to you.
Morning,
Bimbo bagels are okay, not brilliant. Occasionally, Aldi have some that are better, and it's the fresh baked bad boys that you want. I don't know if you saw this, Michael, when you were really.
Oh, wow! Look at that! Look at the state of that. That's amazing. Where's that?
This is in. Is it in Toronto? It is the Saint Viateur, who never imagined themselves to be on the Good Morning Portugal show, I don't suppose. But Sue said, there's the exterior, there's the interior, and if you do want to send us some of those,
they're using like a pizza oven type thing to bake them.
It looks like it, yeah, and they do look a little bit on the rustic side, don't they? And they are, as you say, baked probably with wood there. Yes, well spotted. Oh, Montreal, it's looking like there. And hence, yes, why it is a boulangerie. And actually,
I didn't think it was Tondela.
It's not Tondela. The legendary bagel shop of Tondela. Not heard about that one. Okay, well, Owen's here as well this morning. He might know where to get a bagel in Portugal. Bit the bullet on a week's car hire today. Yeah, and a mortgage. What was that? About €3,000 just for a week's car hire in Portugal at the moment, instead of 2 weeks all-inclusive holiday in Mauritius. Exactly. Exactly. I mean, it's so expensive. I used to hire cars. In my first 2 years in Portugal, I think I had a hire car all the time on a really excellent rate, really good terms with the wonderful Rent Auto, who through Zest, actually, you can find in our business directory. But those days are gone.
Leasing has got cheaper. I know that this isn't really my area of expertise, but if anyone's thinking about getting a car on a permanent basis, there are now some great leasing deals, which were never the case before. And they're great because they include everything, right? So include your car insurance, your maintenance, your tires, your windscreen if it cracks. You can get it for like 2 years. Well, and there's some good deals for electric cars especially. So yeah, it's worth looking into that. If you're thinking about buying a car, I would say don't, because it's really expensive to buy a car.
It's the way forward. Who buys a car anymore? Unless it's like a €400, €1,000 thing. You might want to do that. But for a new car, I think leasing will become the way forward for people, won't it? One of the challenges with that for expats coming in, of course, they've got no credit history. And sometimes it relies on having a good credit history. But we're working on it. Expats Portugal working on that.
Yeah, it's true. It's a problem. It happened to me when I got here as well. You have to really, ideally, you want to have 1 or 2 years of having submitted your tax here. But there are some. I think there are some ways around it. Well, there'll be people on the forum who can.
We're working on it. We're absolutely working on it. The DG, dear Jerry, has done some amazing work on motor vehicles generally, buying cars here. And of course, we had the webinar on leasing with ACP as well. So you can find that in our YouTube directory. So yeah, definitely working on that. And yes, conversations to be had about it on car leasing, car ownership, over on the forum, expatsportugal.com/community. Every MP, this is not me saying, this is Gary now, morning Garvo. Every MP that voted for Boris in the confidence vote should resign their seat as they're complicit in this ongoing farce. Yes, chuck that at the Teflon and see what happens. All it needs to complete this is Sunak standing for leader. Yes, and meanwhile, hungry children and families struggling. So yeah, let's get our priorities right with politics. It's meant to serve people, is it not, rather than be self-serving in the way that it seems to be at the moment, and some of the most appalling behaviour. But you got me again. Starting with that,
they know how to push your buttons, mate.
Just like little prod, and off he goes.
Yeah.
Look, Heronius Maximus is here. I think people like that. So we can go with maybe some. I don't know, some Curtis Mayfield type soul for your intro, or maybe like the theme from Gladiator, where Heronius Maximus comes into the.
It's a bit aggressive. It's a bit aggressive and violent. Maybe that theme tune for the morning.
Yes, it is. It is.
I'll let you decide. You can come up with something.
It'll be great fun. Okay, you'll end up with something great, honestly. Good morning, Gumpers, from Jess as well. Owen is in too. Everything's rising in Niagara. Of course it is. Good morning to you. Maybe see you at the meetup later on. Oh, Nigerian letters coming from Spain now. Yeah. Yes, this is globalization right in the middle of it. Right here, right now. Morning, Carl. Nice to meet you, Michael. So a new meeting, a new connection there.
Nice Emily. Thank you.
Yeah, Emily is in Korea. Would you believe? Not Korea in Portugal. Korea over there in the Far East. Is that still? Do people still use the phrase "the Far East"? Is that? Does that make me sound like a real old fart saying the Far East?
It's a little bit like when people refer to Europe as the continent, right? It's
exactly. Yes, which I still do.
Yeah, they still do. I don't know. You'd have to ask someone else. I'm not sure. I haven't used it per se in a while, but maybe it's still okay to use it. I don't know.
Yes, it's interesting, isn't it? When people who still use Rhodesia or Pakistan, there's a certain age and class of person who uses
Bombay instead of Mumbai, right?
Bombay. I remember the time when I was in Bombay. Yes, those sorts of people. So let's just say in Korea with that. And so nice to meet you, Michael, from Emily.
South Korea, I presume.
Well, I'm guessing so. You would assume so, wouldn't you?
Might be getting in trouble for being on
here. Superbox. I lived in North Korea, but it was Curia in Portugal. Portugal's very own Curia. But I was in the north part of it. Superbox Preta with you on Thursday, Cole. Yay! So you're going to open one. Doesn't take much for the doc to open a beer in the morning, though. Last time he was here, he admitted to us that he took his meds that morning with the residue of the beer that he had in a bottle by the side of his seat. So real with nail and eye stuff. He's
proper with nail. Do you know what? He was proper with nailing on the last man cave I was on. He fell asleep. That was amazing. Yeah. I don't think he was drunk. I just think he was tired. But
a little bit tired and emotional.
Too much booze.
Yes. Okay. So all right. So no prison either then. Prison is violence, deprivation of liberty. Okay, what are we going to do with these war criminals and psychopaths and narcissists then to teach them a lesson, Andy? And maybe we shouldn't go into that right now. Philomena, who's going to be here on Friday, is here as well this morning. Hola, bon dia, pessoal. Philomena, great to see you here. Lots of people glad to see you here. Bimbo is a company in the United States too, part of Orowheat brand. Orowheat sounds like a massive corporation with very little nutrition to me. The bigger the corporation, the smaller the nutrition, right? When it comes to food, I think. Safe to say.
Allegedly, can't.
Okay, next time you win the lottery, buy a car instead of renting. Well, that was in the old days. Pre all these price hikes and rises. It's a very different matter hiring a car now. They will use the Far East when the airfares rise again. It's a marketing thing to justify the cost of really expensive airfares. Right. Okay, very good. And sorry to hear Britain caught the Trump virus. No, don't be starting that. It is painful and it can take a long time, but it does eventually go away or is destroyed by powerful antibiotics. How are they administered? Which orifice of the nation do the antibiotics go into, I wonder? You don't have to answer that, anybody. Please don't. I'm not going to say you're an old fart. I'm in Asia. Okay, so we call it Asia, not the Far East. Michael, no one lives in North Korea. Be careful, you're not far from there, Emily.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't aware of that, but thank you for pointing that out to me.
Okay, yeah, with the emphasis on lives, of course. Yes, I remember being in Bombay when it was Bombay. There's an old fart then, right there. Wow. Launching an appeal to find Eugene. Yes, we must find Eugene and Bimbo is the corporation. Bimbo is the corporation there.
Yeah.
Okay, that's everybody. We've said hello to everyone, which is very important, and had a few interesting comments. A summer and tourism special. So do you want to open the batting then with this, Michael? What's on your mind about this? How can we save people from the pain of tourism traps, for example?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Because you gave just a classic example of how it can happen to you, even as an expat living in Portugal in your own town, right? Yeah. Because they see you're a tourist or think you're a tourist, and then they try to do one over on you. The classic one in a restaurant, of course, is when you sit down and they bring you a tray of bread and olives and cheese and ham, and you think it's included, and then you get the bill and find you're being charged an extra 15 euros. So I'd say that's the first one. If they bring you bread or cheese and ham and olives and you don't want it, just say, "No, obrigado," and they will take it away and you won't see it again. That would be my advice. Or at least ask them how much it is, because the price will vary massively. In some restaurants, they will charge you a lot of money. My golden rule, maybe we start with restaurants just very quickly. My golden rule with restaurants in Portugal is just avoid, if you're in a touristy area, avoid restaurants on like a main promenade. Street.
Yes.
Go 2 or 3 blocks back, you'll find more local places. Avoid restaurants that have pictures of the menu, pictures of food on the menu outside, plastered everywhere. And avoid restaurants with waiters coming up to you, hustling you, trying to get you in to eat.
Oh my God, I can't believe it.
If that's the case, then that's probably a red flag that you shouldn't eat there. And I'm guessing all of these things happened to you yesterday. Yeah, they did. Yeah,
I did.
Shall I tell you? Yeah, go on.
Because I do know this restaurant, and I've been there and I've had a great meal. And it's Jekyll and Hyde come the tourist season. And I've not lived anywhere quite as, I've lived near Lisbon, and Lisbon's like that the whole year, isn't it, really? And you kind of have a better understanding of it possibly in the capital. But here in San Martino, you have 10 months of it being what feels like a village. And I think 2 months of where it just turns its character.
Do they change the menu? Do they change the menu in the summer?
They changed the prices for sure. I think there's like almost like a switch on the till or in the software that says, okay, 1st of July, ping, ka-ching, let's go. And it was exactly like that. I've eaten there before in this restaurant and had a really, really good meal. The classic grilled fish with potatoes and with vegetables, and absolutely delicious. So I went back thinking about that, and I just thought, this is really nice. I want to go out for a traditional Portuguese family meal. And it is set up like that. It was very beautiful. It was very a nice hum in the town because of it was a warm evening. People, it's so funny, isn't it? When people are on holiday, you can see who's on holiday because they've got a linen shirt on.
100%.
Yeah, they smell of aftershave, don't they? Because I can see people walking about. Maybe the guy's gone out a bit early while his partner's getting ready, and he's having a look at all the restaurants, and there he's got his new clothes on and his espadrilles or whatever, holiday clothes. And the restaurants can see these people a mile off, can't they? And there's Portuguese people coming on holiday, and there are tourists, and those are the ones I think who can fall into these traps.
We'll talk about that as well.
Oh, okay, good. Well, and then so I've been past this the restaurant, I've eaten in it, and the guy caught my eye, and so that was the first thing that you said is the hustle on the street. And they kind of, you're walking along minding your own business, and if you're a people pleaser, you might end up sat down quite quickly at the beck and call.
And then you're done.
You're done. You are so finished. Because no sooner had we sat down, the little platters arrived. The covers are they called, and it was really very, very cleverly done. Because they were cling film wrapped on a big platter. The olives, the cheese, the bread, some little biscuits,
ham as well,
and a fish pate that looked like it was made that evening. So if you're hungry and you sit down, this is like your taste buds are going. It's like, let's have a little bit of a nibble. And we knew we'd been here long enough to know that we'd pay for them. So we said yes to those, because if you're with kids, the kids will want those things, won't they? They'll want to eat straight away, and you don't want to stop your kids eating those things and look like a meanie while you're on holiday, and all of that psychology is going on, isn't it? So we end up 100%. We have a few of those. Oh, my ice cream thing, the ice cream sting that I showed everybody yesterday. So we have our meal. there's a lot of hustling going on. I'm watching how this is all working because I'm fascinated by it. So the guy is really doing a great job of grabbing people off the street and sitting them down. They're eating those cling film covered things, and they're obviously going to get charged for them later on. And then at the other end of the meal, the ice cream thing, and you get this like Paw Patrol branding and other brands. I think it's Ola that are doing them, and it's a cup this big, but the ice cream inside is only this big. And then the bill came, Michael, and I haven't told Mrs. M yet, and none of you must, because it was actually a very lovely evening. It was just the sting of the pricing and the cynicism of the pricing that got me. And I looked at it and I thought I was going to be paying what, 40 or 50 euros for the meal, which I'd been happy to do. A family meal. There's 5 of us, so you would think, okay, we had a lot of sodas, and we had the ice creams, and I had a coffee, and we only had 3 meals though, to be fair, and a few of these covers at the beginning, and it came, and it was 92 euros. Okay, and I very rarely pause when the bill comes. I've got a rough idea what it's going to be. I just pay it. Yeah. And they'd sent a young girl out with this bill. It was a different member of staff who came out with the folder and this bill. And I haven't looked at it since, but I think it came to 82, with a lot of money on those first bits, the olives, and a lot of money on the ice creams for the kids. And then I think they put a tax or service charge on it, which I've never seen before in Portugal. So it was 82 plus another tenner. So I think they'd put 10% on there.
Gratuity.
Yes, of course it is. But but then you've got to have a conversation about it, haven't you?
Yeah.
You've got to. The atmosphere changes, doesn't it? And they know you don't want that as well, right? You're having a lovely meal out with your family, and you don't want to look like some guy who's arguing with the staff about the bill at the end, and the atmosphere changing. So that's what happened. I was really surprised. It's not going to happen to me again. It was very educational, and I'm glad to be able to tell everybody here. But of that list that you mentioned, me here 5 years.
Yeah, but this is the thing. It can happen. It can happen to the best of us, and it's very easy because your guard is down when it's either holiday season or you go somewhere for holiday in Portugal, and these kind of things can happen a lot. And this is why, I wanted to do cover this topic today, because when you're deciding where to go on holiday, you have to remember that if you do go to somewhere like the Algarve in August, there are going to be these places because that's how they make their money. They make most of their money. The Algarve, the business model is totally different. The business model in the Algarve is we make as much money as we can in the summer months, and then we survive the rest of the year.
Yes.
So if you go to the Algarve in May and you go to one of the same restaurants, you will get treated completely differently. They'll be more relaxed, and it's not going to be the same kind of experience. So my kind of advice with summer is avoid the Algarve, or at least avoid areas in the Algarve that are more crowded. So you've got the 2 extremes of the Algarve coast that are my favorites. One is Sagres, which is right on the western tip. And that tends to be more of a surfing kind of destination. It can get very crowded, but there are quieter parts. And then right at the other end, nearer to Spain, and in fact, Spain is also a good option. Not that we want to encourage people to leave Portugal, but very close to the Portuguese border. You've got Tavira, which is right on the other extreme, on the other side of the east coast. And that's beautiful as well. I mean, all these areas are busy, but you've got those areas in the Algarve that I would say you're more likely to find slight more peace. Then my advice is avoid the Algarve in the summer if you can. I mean, Lisbon and the Caparica area is a good shout because it's quiet. It's completely quiet. So you cross over the bridge into before you get to Sesimbra and Setúbal, and you've got Costa Caparica, which is 17 beaches all together, white sand, beautiful, really good weather. I mean, it's the Atlantic, so it's a bit cold, but that's a really good shout because it will be very, very quiet. And then, of course, you've got the north and the Silver Coast, which are all beautiful and not as crowded. So we can talk in more detail about that, and if anyone's got any specific questions. But also the subject of restaurants, I think, is important, which is you can find absolute gems in Portugal, just by going a little bit further off the beaten track and finding, finding really good places. And, don't be afraid to go into a seemingly simple restaurant from the outside. You will find really good food in there, and it will be cheap and it will be affordable. And if they do try with the platter thing, you'll be paying an extra €3 instead of an extra 15. And
Mate,
you can
run us through that list again.
Or you can just say bao en manteiga, just bread and butter. It happens, right? You sit down, you have your beer, you want a little bit of a bite before the food comes, and it's tempting. So my advice is you can say no, check how much it is. Don't order anything without seeing it on the menu. Because that's another way they try and stiff you sometimes. And look, I think we have to be generous. Maybe what happened to you, not all of the things you said were done on purpose. Maybe it was just you were unlucky or whatever. But I think you can find really affordable places to eat on holiday.
No question.
By avoiding tourist traps.
Could you run us through that list again, Michael? Philomena, completely agree with you. Great advice. So what was it? The first bit is when you're walking along your calçaded lanes and you've got the hustle going on in the first place. Yeah,
the hustle's always a bad sign. Seeing pictures of plates of food on the menus outside is a bad sign. And any kind of like really touristy area with a main street, with restaurants, often if you just walk a couple of streets over a little bit further in, you'll find cheaper and better options. And you can say no to, and also don't forget, if you sit down and then you have second thoughts because you see the menu and it's really expensive, you can just get up and leave.
Yeah, and people were actually. I did notice that because this was the business model of the place to be on often, because you're right. If you go to a few roads over, it's very different because the restaurants don't have the location, do they? But where they've got key location, you're often going to see these tactics, and it is a particular kind of business model. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it how it is, and to be aware of it because actually it's not a bad experience to have once. To get the measure of it. The food was good enough. It wasn't brilliant, but it was good enough, and it was a lovely evening. And I kept all of that drama to myself. It was great because I was just sat there on my own. I just said, to Mrs. M and the kids, go and play on the green for a minute. I'll take care of the bill. I'll have a coffee for a minute and gather my thoughts. And so I was able to deal with that on my own, which was great because we had a really lovely time. But that was a little bit of a bad taste there. But there they were, prime location, making the most of it, of doing everything you said. It was like a tick box, a checklist that you just supplied there. It is a model. Maybe do it once, but you don't need to keep falling for it because they are the most amazing places that Michael describes there. Now, yesterday, I was reminded of this, which was absolutely beautiful. And I want to show you the picture of this. I took my car in for its annual inspection. It failed the first time. It's gone in for the work that it needs to have happen. Oh, I haven't seen you since I got stopped by the police, Michael, as well. I don't know if we'll have time to talk about that today.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I went to two cafes to take refuge from the blistering sun and to wait for a taxi to get home, and actually go for a little bit of an explore, to get off the lead, as it were, and just go walk about in Portugal, which I love doing and probably don't do often enough. And I found myself, Michael, in this sort of bar. Now, although the pull focus shows you, it doesn't show you it in sharp detail.
I mean, you're doing a good job of reminding everyone that you haven't started drinking yet.
That was my post. What I said yesterday was, I'm in a local Portuguese cafe bar, the kind I love, just days before I drink beer again after a year without it. And I am so looking forward to tasting Sagres once again in this kind of atmosphere where local blokes chat together, people pop in to buy cigarettes and lottery tickets, and life feels timeless and comfortable. And that was the antidote to the experience I'd had the night before. It was just so lovely to be. I mean, that says a lot to me, that picture. Yeah, it says that I'm drinking water, but you can see the football scarves on the wall. There were 3 TVs in there. There was a humming lottery machine. There was a smell of coffee. You could get food if you wanted. You could sit outside. You could sit inside. It was absolutely beautiful. And that, to me, is what we're talking about. And that is still possible, isn't it? Even if you come here as a tourist, you just got to know where to find it.
It is. And, I think that the thing to remember is, and maybe my statement about the Algarve was a bit sweeping, because there are huge variety. Like I said, you've got Sagres, you've got Tavira, you've got lots of other places where you can avoid the typical tourist places and avoid things that are expensive. But in general, I would say what often happens, especially with Brits, because we have this reputation we just see Portugal as the Algarve. We sometimes forget that there are other parts of the country that are just as beautiful. The weather's just as great. You're just as guaranteed to have warm weather. And it's cheaper, and it's a lot quieter, like way quieter.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. And here's another good tip as well. This is great. Thank you, everybody, for helping out on this. This will be really useful for people who've not been to Portugal before and who are coming on scouting trips. Top tip, sometimes the best places to eat are where the locals congregate. That's exactly where I was yesterday. And these places are quite unassuming and easily overlooked. They are also sometimes tucked away, but well worth finding.
Yeah, it's like my favorite restaurant in Lisbon is called Valenciana, and it's the best frango asado you will eat in the entire country. Now it looks a little bit nicer, but it used to be really unassuming.
Yeah.
It's so cheap and it's so good. The thing is, it's just not quite in the center of Lisbon. It's sort of tucked away in Campo Libre. But whenever people come and visit Lisbon, I always tell them to go there, because you're going to guarantee to get a good meal with locals. You're not going to see any tourists, and you're going to have really good Portuguese food, which is what people want. So
it is. And you're not going to have 2 price lists. You're not going to have pictures of the food. You're going to have probably the prato do dia. So you do need a little bit of help and a recommendation. Andrew Gilchrist, excellent advice this morning.
Really good advice,
Andrew. And Jim's in this morning. Morning to you, Jim. And the picture I showed, Jim is saying that kind of cafe. And you can eat in these cafes as well. It's not just coffee and beer. It's, you can get a really good meal. But only at lunchtime or in the evening. You can't rock up there and eat at any time of the day. That's something to be aware of as a tourist. But during the service of lunch or dinner, and dinner will be probably after 7, and lunch will be fairly early, won't it, Michael? It'll be sort of between 12 and 2.
12 and 2. Yeah, 12 and 2.
And
that catches a lot of people out in the summer, especially if you're with small children and you want to have the flexibility to eat whenever you want. That can be a problem. I mean, there'll be some restaurants that serve all day. This is why I tend to go to Spain quite a lot in the summer, just because you have, if you think about it, so you drive into the Algarve and you've got the Ayamonte Bridge, which is what connects you to Spain, right at the border. And there's a lot of places there which are much cheaper, much more relaxed, less tourists. You won't find any tourists there, actually. You'll just see Spanish and some Portuguese. Yeah. And you can rock up at a restaurant at 5 o'clock in the afternoon and eat lunch if you want. I mean, it's just worth thinking about. It's worth thinking about. I'm not trying to put people off going to the Algarve in summer, because it's beautiful and the beaches are incredible. Yes. But if you are thinking about your holidays and maybe you want to avoid a little bit of that, masses of people, then it's worth thinking about other parts of the country for sure.
Jack is here. Jack Polly, the host of our Portimao meetup, the second Thursday of each month. They had a successful first one, and next week, I guess, is when the next one will be. Jack, if you want to confirm that and maybe put the details in of where people can meet you. Weather is guaranteed in the Algarve, so if you're coming on holiday, yes, indeed. And somebody like Jack who lives there will know the Tashkas. Tashka is a key word as well to look out for, isn't it? And, go onto the forum. Go to expatsportugal.com/community. I'm going to the Algarve. I'm going to Lisbon. Can anyone recommend their favorite Tashka? So you don't go to the laminated picture restaurants with the cling film covered cheese and ham covers that come out at the beginning at Olives. Yeah. So I think you've dealt with that very beautifully, and that's very helpful, Michael, there. Anything else you want to say about the summer and tourism here in Portugal?
Yeah, I mean, don't forget the Azores. That's what I'll say. The Azores are beautiful. You can fly low cost with EasyJet and TAP from Lisbon and Porto. Yeah. You're going to be guaranteed much cooler weather. I mean, we're going to have a hot summer. It's going to be 38 degrees in Lisbon this weekend. And I think it's going to be a hot summer. So in the Azores, you're guaranteed a much cooler temperature. It's beautiful. So I would just say, think about think about other parts of Portugal and the autonomous regions like Madeira as well. They're fantastic, and don't forget Lisbon and especially Caparica, which is amazing in August because it's so quiet. Because all the Lisboetas will be in the Algarve, so you'll be in Caparica, and there won't be anyone there.
Yeah,
you'll have a lovely white beach. Be a little bit cold the water, but if it's hot, it'll be fine. Yes. And you can have your caipirinha on the beach and have your wonderful, lunch and have a great holiday. So there are a lot of options for sure.
Yeah, you're right. So when are TAP flying you and me to do our show from the Azores then? That was a nice little plug there.
Well, we should.
We're working on it.
Let's
okay,
yeah.
Very good. Carl, you didn't want to act like an American Karen. No, who does apart from Karen? Because it can be embarrassing and even end up on YouTube. Yeah. I don't. I'm British. I don't like to cause a scene. I'm the first to say sorry in any situation.
Yeah.
Even if it's their fault. Even though the restaurant is to blame, absolutely. The doc who was in Bombay when it was still Bombay. Who the hell would go to the Algarve in August? If you live in Portugal, the definition. Yeah, go to Lisbon. Actually, if you go to Lisbon in August, you can have it to yourself. It's eerily quiet, and then go to like Daniel was saying yesterday from Resin Pelicano. We spoke to the Lisbon lawyer yesterday. He was saying, Lisbon is fantastic to work in August. And
it really is. This is going to be the first August in like 6 years. I'm actually going to be taking a holiday in August because generally speaking, I quite enjoy working in Lisbon in August because it's so chilled. There's no traffic.
Yep.
There's hardly anyone around. It's good weather.
Yep.
It's great.
Top tip then. So go to Lisbon in August, and then when all the kids have gone back to school and all the workers have gone back to work, come to Portugal.
Then go on holiday.
End of September, October, it can still be very hot and sunny and very beautiful. It's all relative, of course, but the September, October in Portugal is a fantastic time to be making your way around when the kids have gone back to school and the workers have gone back to work. So more tips for you. James, the banana slug. In Santa Cruz, California, the merchants and restaurants make 70% of their entire annual income in the 3 months of summer. And that's the scene, that's the context. And we should be aware of that. And of course, they've been through a couple of very difficult years. So I don't begrudge restaurants now who are trying to survive. Absolutely not. Doc Thompson, you're absolutely right. I always go to the Algarve in winter or spring, says Philomena. Philomena will be here to tell you more tips then on Friday, on Philomena Friday, learning about Portuguese language and culture, maybe a bit of singing, who knows. From OLP to the banana slug, it is still ripping off the consumer, tourist or regular. It's not ethical. Yeah, we get it. Sorry, Michael, you're going to say something there.
No, not at all. Not at all. You carry on.
Bon dia, Adoros might have to disagree with you, Michael. He doesn't mind that. The Algarve is more touristy than other places in the Algarve, but you can find reasonable places to eat all over the Algarve. And we need people like you, Jack, to guide us with that, with your favorite places.
Honestly, Tavira is beautiful, man. Tavira is beautiful. And then you have the island of Tavira as well, where you have to get a boat and you can camp on there. And honestly, the best fish I've ever had in 8 years living in Portugal was on Tavira. They caught it like that morning and it was unbelievable. So there's a lot
and the vibe, the setting, right? The setting is going to help. Yeah, beautiful.
Just don't go in September because there's a lot of mozzies. That's the only thing.
Mosquito alert there. We haven't talked about mosquitoes yet, so be careful. Tavira in September for mosquitoes. And you have excellent alternatives in the river pools throughout Portugal. That's a whole show. River beaches are amazing.
As well. Yeah, it's true.
Off Agroal, for example, near Tomar. You can go and have a swim in the plunge pool at Agroal, and there are great restaurants there, the kind that Portuguese people go to. Go there in the week, and you can go to the restaurant and have a swim pretty much alone. It's fantastic. But Portuguese people will turn up, not for a swim, but to go for lunch. But you'll have the river beach to yourself at certain times of the year. That late September sweet spot, perfect for central Portugal, river beaches and going to the cafes. Lots of them in the interior of the country and more towards the central north. Yeah, Agroal is one worth looking at. Goish, Arganil, head to that part of the country as well. We'll come back to this rugby question and what you think about that. I think you'll have something to say about that, Michael, in a little while. And I just want to resolve this about restaurants and tourism and so on. On the main drag, you're likely to find staff that speak English. Off-track language becomes more of an issue. Yes, and they know that. That's why if somebody comes up to you, guesses your language and says, good evening, would you like a table for 4? Are you hungry? You're going to think, oh, my goodness, that solves a problem. But it is worth it. It's worth going to have the adventure of not being able to speak much Portuguese. You
don't need a lot of Portuguese to be able to order a meal, and even restaurants that aren't touristy these days tend to have a menu in English as well. Yes. Or you've got Google, so don't be afraid. You're gonna have put it this way. I'm not saying that you're not gonna have a good meal if you go to a more touristy place, but the percentage, like the likelihood that you're gonna have a better meal and a more local, authentic experience by going a little bit out of your comfort zone, you're going to feel fantastic afterwards.
Yeah. Isn't Lisbon shut in August? Well, in some ways it is, Pete, but it's still a great place to go. Even for tourists, it's just lovely in August because of the cultural phenomenon of people all holidaying at the same time and the acceptance that, okay, that's it. We're shut. Hi, everyone. There is a great Tasca in Caparica that Michael mentioned there. Thank you, Miguel Caldera. Called Nana Petisquera. It has all traditional Portuguese foods. First time there last week. Great place. And if you head further down that coast to Fonte de Telia, I think it's
great. Yeah.
Isn't it great? And then those bars along there, because people, the further you go away from the tourist hotspots,
the further you go, right? So for anyone who's been in that part of the world, you get to the traffic lights, and you either go left or right. If you go right, you have even more options. But if you go left, you have literally 17 beaches. If you go right to the end, and you get to Fonte de Teia and even further, and there are some fantastic options there because they're just less people. Humans by nature, we're lazy, right? So you're going to less likely go to the furthest one away. But when you get there, there'll be less people and cheaper options and great food, man.
That is amazing. And I think it is the 127 bus that goes from central Lisbon. From
Marques Pombal, you can go from Marques Pombal directly. And I don't know if it's back in operation, but there's a little train that takes you to all the little beaches in Caparica as well. From Caparica, at the back, which is fantastic. So you can get
superb.
You don't need a car. You don't need a car. You don't need to use Uber. You can use public transport to get there.
Superb. Great news.
If you don't want to spend money, you can just take a massive cool box, take a picnic. This is what happened in 2008 when the credit crisis happened in Portugal. The beaches were really full because people weren't working, but they could afford to go to the beach because you don't need a lot of money to go to the beach, do you? You just need a sandwich, a couple of drinks, good to go. So it's a really accessible thing for people.
You make a very good point. I mean, you don't even need to take too much, do you? You can pop into the local mercado. And you can get some sliced meat, you can get some cheese, some fresh papa secos, or some, pão d'avo, and something to drink, and you're on the beach. Perfect. That might be in the pipeline.
It's nice to go and be served on and eat, but you could take a picnic, a few beers, bottle of wine or whatever, and have a great time. And the kids, as long as they're being fed and hydrated, they don't care, so they'll be happy.
Now, again, Michael, a great point, because a lot of the beaches of the world, if you do that, you're on somebody's turf, or the locals are looking at you like you're a cheapskate. Portuguese culture means that eating out is what everybody does. You're not going to be looked on as a cheapskate or doing something out of the cultural norm.
And there are, so typically. But this is the thing, right? So there are beaches that have the infrastructure with the parasols and the restaurants, and they serve you and all that stuff. There are then beaches where you can just park your parasol and kit to one side, and that's fine. And then there are beaches which you can only get to by foot, which are remote, which don't have any infrastructure, and they're perfect for taking a picnic because you don't have any other choice. So there are a lot of beaches like that. You can go on Google and find them. You don't need me to tell you, but there's a lot of wonderful options out there. So if you're into the beach, you've got so many choices, really. You don't need to find a beach that has a restaurant.
Indeed.
And
And you're looking for a Parque das Merendas often in Portugal, which is geared up for people taking their own food and being with their family. There's a barbecue there. There's running water.
That too. I mean, that's even better. Absolutely. I mean, that's even better. You've got that.
Yeah, I put that phrase Parque das Merendas in the chat for you. Superb this morning, Sunny Jill. You've been so patient this morning. We will resolve the tourism bit, and then we'll come back to you on your question about the IMT. Good point, though, Paul. Thank you very much for that. Let's see what everyone else is saying about tourism and the summer in Portugal. River pools in Portugal are called piscinas fluviais. Google it. And that's really good advice from Maxine. Good morning to you. Thank you for being there. So 14th of July then, Thursday for the next Portimao meetup. No solo, Italia. So Italian food at a Portuguese meetup in Portimao. See you there. Sounds like fun. And 38 degrees, 42, nice warm temperature up here in the center, and only 20 minutes from tapas if you fancy a change. Thank you, Pete, for that recommendation. That's fantastic. Nasa do Sol is a place where Portuguese people go, and near San Martino de Porto that Gary Austin highly recommends as well. July is a good month to take a holiday in Portugal. Yeah, I struggled to get a taxi yesterday, and when I did finally get one, the taxi driver said, yeah, a lot of us on holiday at the moment. They just don't answer their WhatsApp.
Love it. I love it. I love it, man.
Yeah, contact us by WhatsApp Messenger. Nothing. They are on holiday, and they'll probably reply when they get back and say, oh, do you still need picking up? Bondi, I'll be a skeleton sat by the roadside. So, okay. IMT, Michael, do you know, we had a few questions that I think you might be able to address. This one, what's going on with IMT? Are they going to improve soon? Probably not. They are not soon anyway. They are taking more than 6 months on average to exchange your driving license. E-Duck in our community, 14 months. So, what do you think about IMT, Michael?
I mean, all I'll say is don't worry about it too much. As long as you're in the system, you will eventually get a driver's license. And if you do get stopped by the police, all you have to do is tell them that you're waiting for your license, and most of them know that that's an ongoing situation, and you'll be fine. So you won't be in trouble for not having a driver's license.
Did you say fine or fined?
Did you get? Oh, so you're going to tell me a story of you getting fined, though?
Yes, I am, because it is a possibility that the police officer will be lenient and say, yeah, what are they like? Honestly, IMT, I can't believe it. Or they'll say, yes, that's right, but the law is the law, and you are meant to have a legitimate piece of paper, and that is a €60 or €200 fine, I'm afraid. They can enforce, and, you know, I made a genuine mistake, not to bore anyone any more than I already have done already, Michael, but if you don't have the piece of paper about your insurance in the glove box, that is a €60 fine.
Yeah. That's something you've got to be really careful about, because that can happen.
But also worth mentioning here, because if you've got a hire car, as somebody did earlier on, and you're wandering about having a nice time in Portugal in your hire car, make sure you've got all the necessary documents. Otherwise, you will be fined in a roadside check. And there are roadside checks in operation at the moment under the auspices of safer driving and catching drunks who are driving. But it's quite a nice income as well. So expect to be fined is what I would say. Budget for it. Anything.
And make sure you've got the cash on you, because if you don't pay the fine on the spot, they can take all sorts of documents off you and impound the car, I think, in certain situations.
They certainly can take, because when I was said, can I pay you later? Because he didn't have a cash card machine with him, a terminal. He said, you can go and get some money from the cash machine, which cost me another €5 in gas, I think, to go there.
Yeah.
And then he said, if you don't pay now, you can pay in 15 days, but I keep your license. Or these documents. So there is that as well.
Yeah.
All right. So there you go, Sunny Jill. I don't think not a very sunny outlook for you there. Is that a restaurant? Michael, we'll have a little cough. Can you tell us more about Valenciana?
Yeah, that's the one, Mark. Yeah, a little west of Parque Eduardo. Exactly. Yeah, called Valenciana, and it's been in existence for. I should really get them to pay me commission. The amount of people I send there, but it's been in existence for like over 70 years. And literally, it does the best frango asado you'll ever have in your life. It's unbelievably good. So if you're ever in the Lisbon area, check out Valenciana. All the food is fantastic, but the chicken is unbelievable. It's so good. And you can take away as well. They've got a huge section where you can go in and take take away, get yourself a frango and take it home.
And they've been doing it for years, haven't they? Decades. And you know, there's a Portuguese expression, isn't there? Turning chickens, I think, which shows your experience or something. And with these sorts of establishments, you know they've been doing it forever. And
they have their own chickens as well. They have their own chickens, their own farm.
Oh, incredible. So there you go. Valenciana, is that right?
Valenciana, that's correct. Yeah, thank you, Mark.
Been a few years since I've been Costa de Caparica. Very crowded in the summer. Yeah, it can be at the top, can't it, Antonio F? But I think, as Michael says, the further you go south, the more people thin out.
Especially during the week, like on a weekday in August, there's nobody there. Very few people there. I think it's one of those things that about 7 or 8 years ago, it genuinely was completely quiet. I think now more and more tourists have kind of cottoned onto it a little bit, but it's still, nothing compared to like, being somewhere in the Algarve, for sure.
I've got another one for you. If you're at the Caixa de Sodré, where Time Out Market is, and that's very touristy, worth a look actually. It's probably in the week rather than weekend, and probably in August. But if you catch the ferry from Caixa de Sodré over to Casillas,
you're going to say the
Farol.
Farol is amazing.
Yeah, and that's just such a great experience as well, because you get the ferry, you come off the ferry boat, and people going about their business.
It's 8 minutes from Caixa de Sodré to Casillas, and you're right. It's literally, you get off the boat, it's right in front of you. It's got blue like colours on the outside, and the waiters there are proper old school, and
they are, aren't they? They are proper old school, and the fruit vendors are there as you get off the ferry as well. You can have a little wander about Casillas as well, which I think is the Notting Hill of Lisbon on the other side of the water there. Superb. What's this? OLP. Antonio F. Would the people on the forum use tashkas or just non-touristy or local restaurants? Tashka is a good key word. Not exclusively though, right, Michael? These are what you're looking for is a local community restaurant almost, where Portuguese people.
Yeah, like my kind of like definition of it is they'll have like the cheap sort of white paper tablecloths. So they use these little metal things to stick to the top of the table. Yes. And you go in there and there'll be a little bit of a grumpy sort of older guy behind the bar who, like, you'll ask him for a table and he'll look at you as if you've asked for sort of crack cocaine, and you go and sit down. It's a little bit like that, but then they sort of come alive. You sit down, they bring the menu, and it's just unbelievably good. Like, that's the general standard. I mean, there are rubbish places like that as well, but generally speaking, you can't go wrong if you find somewhere old school like that. Don't be afraid to ask them what's typical there, what's fresh that day, if it's fish, or what's the menú del día and all that kind of stuff. And especially with the desserts, if they make any desserts there homemade, because typically in Portugal they don't. In a lot of restaurants, they're not homemade there. But often things like arroz, dos, and things like that, like rice pudding and that kind of thing, are made there. Or the mousse de chocolat as well. And, especially lunch, you're going to get a lunch for like 10, 12 euros, 3-course meal. Yes. Perfect. So, and, if you live here or you're on holiday for a significant amount of time, don't be afraid to do a bit of experimentation. Try out new places.
And don't be offended if you are given a placemat or a tray. Now, there's something to know about eating in Portugal. So often Portuguese waiting staff want to put a little paper placemat, and even if it's a tiny table and there are 3 of you on it, they will find a way of doing like an origami situation to fit in the 3 paper table placings, won't they? And also, so often trays as well. If you eat in a lot of places in Portugal, you get your food on a tray, and Portuguese people tend to eat on the tray, don't they? And have it.
And Portuguese people tend to have soup as a starter, and often soups will be really good. And I know it can be a bit strange sometimes if it's boiling hot outside to have a soup, but often they're a great way to like open up your appetite instead of having the bread and the olives and the ham and the cheese. And the soup's typically really cheap, really good, fresh made there, and then you have your meal. So it is it's a good option as well to have a soup.
Yeah, and if you're traveling on a budget too, if you're backpacking your way around Portugal, and if all you want to eat is soup and bread, you're going to be in and out, and you're going to spend maybe with a coffee. That might be just 3 or 4 euros, mightn't it, for a soup and a coffee and a bit of bread to keep you going. So that's it seems to me that Portuguese people almost demand a certain level of service. The rice pudding, the chocolate mousse, the coffee, and the soup are almost like a government decree that they must be on there, such that people can eat and feel comfortable in life.
Absolutely. And the other thing to mention is don't you need to be a bit patient as well, because especially if you're coming from the US, typically restaurants in Portugal will take a bit longer to serve you. And it's just be patient, just understand it's a cultural thing, and that's typical. Even at the top restaurants as well, they can take a little bit longer than maybe you're used to, because I know what it's like in the US. The service is unbelievable. You sit down, the first thing they do is bring you like ice with water, and then they serve you very quickly. Obviously, they then charge you a premium for service, right? So you just have to be aware that in Portugal things happen at our own pace. It's a little bit slower, but it's lovely too.
But that applies to the bill. That applies to the bill as well, doesn't it? If you're sat chatting, you can stay sat chatting, because you're not going to get the bill until you ask for it or go to pay.
And often you have to go and pay at the balcão as well. So but then it's nice, isn't it? Because you're not they don't try and get you to leave. But what I was going to say earlier about the Algarve and being Portuguese is that Portuguese tourists sometimes complain that they get treated not as favorably compared to foreign tourists, because the establishments will assume that a foreign tourist is going to be more likely to be caught out, more likely to pay for the bread and the ham and the cheese and spend more money. So this is why a lot of Portuguese, when they travel to the Algarve for their holidays, they go to different places. So one of the things you can do is ask your Portuguese friends, where are you going on holiday this summer? Where do you go?
Yes, I do.
Tends to be a better alternative.
The taxi driver yesterday, Michael, where are you off to on holiday? Gerês, heading up to the north. And I said, I've been there, stayed there first night in Portugal. He said, but you've got to go for 2 weeks. You've got to go for 2 weeks to Gerês. That is such a good idea. Ask your Portuguese friends where they go for holiday.
Taxi drivers is a great shout as well. That's a great.
And isn't it interesting how often Portuguese people will be holidaying in Portugal? You don't hear that from British people, for example.
I mean, they've got everything here. Why leave, right?
Absolutely. More tips coming in as we close. It's 10 o'clock. Pedregão and São Pedro, just below Figueira da Foz, can match anything the Algarve has. Maybe not quite the weather, Gary, but I take your point. Less crowded, less expensive there. Figueira da Foz. Amazing beach there at Figueira da Foz. Sunny Gil has the record for posting the same comment a record number of times. I think we've got to the bottom of that now, though. One can simply say "Korea" and point at the menu. There you go. The rest will sort itself out. Sign language, etc. In my experience as an American. Do you know of charity shops that want linen shirts, espadrilles, and some Paco Rabanne? Standard holiday kit for the Brit abroad, until he strips down to his Union Jack shorts. I assure you that people in Portugal are not likely to starve. Yes, there's always some place you can eat delicious, unexpected treats of all kinds. Yes, it's a national cultural expectation.
João Ferreira speaks the truth. Yeah, completely, 100%. 100%. Yeah.
Train is so cute. The one you mentioned, the train that takes you to the beaches there, south of Lisboa as well. Michael, that is definitely a French picnic too, as you described. Look, that question again from... We've done that. Wow. Tascas, pastelerias, restaurants, kiosks, roulottes de comida. You have plenty to choose from. João F., you are typically full of wisdom this morning, and acknowledged there by Michael and me. Thank you so much for being here. Carmona and Cascais have about 10 to 12 free. Even in Cascais, look at that.
Yeah, you've got. Well, this is the other thing. You've got Monsanto Park as well. There are a lot of these parks with picnic tables where you can go and have a barbecue. You can have a picnic. It's great. It's fantastic. Yeah.
But always carry your paper trail regarding not having your license. Yeah, yes, carry your paper trail. Very good. Thank you for that. You can't drive abroad on the IMT.
That's true. Yeah, that is very true. You can't leave Portugal. That is true.
I will carry an A4 full scap folder containing my vehicle. Well, IKEA do a new trailer that is half filing cabinet, half trailer, that you can carry around all your Portuguese paperwork.
And remember, very important in Portugal as well, you have to have a first aid kit, and you have to have the bright
triangle and vest. You have to have a first aid kit as well.
And the triangle, you have to have a first aid kit as well.
And
it has to be in the glove compartment, because if you have it in the boot, if you have to get out of the car without putting the jacket on, you can get fined.
Yes, indeed. And coffee making facilities, is that right, in the car as well? Yes, €200 fine if you don't have that. Only joking for those very literal people who are watching. Important question: where do I get a tax certificate holder thingy for my windscreen? Your insurance company, I'm sure. With PDF copies on. No, he said no to me when I thought I'd got out of my fine. But as soon as the pen hits the paper, you're going to get fined anyway, is also what he said. Mark D, we live not too far from there. Nice one, Mark D. Great to see you're new to the fray here, I think, or maybe you're using a different name. Great to see you. Kazashina. What's that for then? For your filing cabinet, maybe, but it probably won't last more than a few days, possibly with that. And what is the best boat trip to take up the Douro area, Michael? That's not a euphemism.
There's a lot of options. Wasn't there a company recently on here who were talking about all these kind of like trips they were organising? Do you remember the name? Maybe it's worth they contact them. But there's a lot of options.
I don't. But there are a lot of options, and typically, we've run out of time. We've opened more cans of worms. There's so much we'd have to say, but we've got to go and do other things. Bon dia, meus primos, and pasty-faced fish and chippers.
Wow.
Is that us?
He's taking the piss out of us, I think.
How rude! How rude is that? Pasty face fish and chippers.
Get yourself a proper name, mate, before you start coming on here.
Coming on here. With your racial stereotypes,
your
cultural stereotypes. Our village is packed with French and Swiss number plates every summer, says Pete. Yes, of course. We all know a good thing when we see it. That'll be Central Portugal, Portugal in general, the French, the Swiss, the Belgians, everybody coming to Portugal and the Americans. Thanks, chaps. Great show. Off to walk, Leo and Ruben. Michael, I better let you go. I've got a couple of more housekeeping things to do and share some pictures. No problem. Mate, that was superb. Absolutely superb. Can't wait to do it again. I hope you might raise a beer. Yeah, have a beer with me in the morning if you want to. Otherwise, some other time. What do you think will happen with the Portugal-Argentina match that Garvo was asking about?
I didn't even know it was on, mate. I mean, to be honest, Argentina tend to have quite a strong rugby team, so I would imagine they would probably obliterate Portugal. But I'm going to be in Madrid this weekend, so if I was around, I'd have gone to watch it for sure. Okay. But thank you for having me on, mate. It's been a pleasure, and have a great rest of the week. Everyone, and I'll see you next month
when you'll have your own jingle.
I look forward to it. Just maybe not Curtis. It'll be too expensive for you.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I'll speak to Curtis's people and see. But I think I'm gonna have to come up with a Curtis-inspired walk-on music.
Yeah, you want to speak to Lionel Richie? He's got the rights for the biopic that's going to come out soon. So I reckon he'll be.
Yeah. Well, next time I speak to Lionel, yeah, of course I'll mention it. And I'll send you regards. All right, mate. Take care.
Ciao.
Thank you so much. Muito obrigado to Michael Heron. What a guy. That was superb this morning, and thanks to everybody for all your contributions with that. Excellent stuff. And the picture from Deborah. Doc, you wanted this. I wanted this as well. The picture that is being, or the installation that's going into Wells Cathedral. Presumably, is Wells Cathedral part of the school as well? Look at that. That looks a bit special, doesn't it? Thank you very much, Deborah Davies, for that. Don't let the situation in the United Kingdom. I'll leave that hanging, literally, at the end of the show, so you can get a better chance to appreciate that. And I suspect Deborah will send us a few more pickies as well when it's fully installed or erected. A simple Boris. I am going to watch, if I get the chance, PMQs. It's going to be quite something. Connie, a great show. Thank you very much. Great in capital letters. We love it when that happens. Luckily, quick fix, loose RAM card. Yes, hate it when that happens. Oh, and another resignation from Britain there. Incredible what's going on all around the world, isn't it? But beneath all of that argy-bargy and craziness that appears to be afflicting the world is excellent behavior. Great things happening. Life quietly going on. Let's remember that. And I would like to think we characterize and personify that as well. The goodness that goes on between people here on the Good Morning Portugal show and in our Expats Portugal community. So have a great day on that basis. I do sincerely apologize if in the hurly-burly I've forgotten to share anything that you sent in to me, but there's always tomorrow where Wiley will join us in some way. I'll be having the first beer for a year, probably at around 9 o'clock. And on Friday is Philomena Friday. Tomorrow evening's webinar will be with our expats, Ask Our Expat Experts community. And Jeff very kindly picking up the baton from Phil. Phil may join us as well if he's available. But Phil, who recently, of course, came to live on the Silver Coast here with Maria, Phil will be perhaps rounding up and talking about anything he forgot when he was last on, when he picked up the baton from Amit. So Phil and most certainly Jeff tomorrow night talking about a new life in Porto. Can't wait for that. And thoroughly agree with this sentiment that's just come in. Fantastico. Have an amazing day, everyone. The Premium Plus Lounge at 9 tomorrow night. We're going to bring Dallas back with all that privacy stuff and changing phones. Got a special evening with him for the Premium Plus folks at 9 tomorrow night. But see you sometime soon. If not tomorrow morning, then maybe tomorrow evening. And if we don't see you tomorrow, make sure you're back for a Philomena Friday with Philomena on Friday, where of course we'll have lots of fun. Take care, bye for now, and have a superb day, my friends. I wish you a sweet, happy life. I listened to the Peggy Lee song, Sweet Happy Life. I think that's going to be my sign-off. I wish you a sweet, happy life. Take care, bye for now. Take care.